So, today we're diving into a new AI model, Deepseek V3.1. And look, this isn't just another tech release. This thing is a disruptor. It's throwing down the gauntlet to the biggest names in the game and forcing us all to ask a really important question. Who's actually going to build our digital future? And yeah, before we get into the nitty-gritty, this model really puts a spotlight on a massive question. I mean, think about it. As we're creating these tools that are just getting more and more powerful, who should be in the driver's seat? Should it be just a few giant companies? Or should it be, well, all of us? That's the real battle happening in AI right now. This whole thing has basically split the AI world right down the middle. You've got two teams with completely different playbooks. In one corner, you have the giants, the big corporations, building their AI in secret behind these big digital walls. And in the other corner, you've got this global, sprawling community of developers, all building out in the open for everyone to see. And I mean, these two approaches could not be more different. The closed ecosystems, they're like a walled garden. The tech is locked up tight, you need special permission to get in, you'll probably pay a hefty fee, and all the new ideas come from inside the company. Then you have open source, which is just the polar opposite. It's a public park. The gates are wide open, everything's free to use, and the innovation comes from everywhere, from this huge collaborative effort. Okay, so into this battle of ideas steps a brand new player for Team Open Source, a real heavyweight. Let's talk about Deepseek V3.1. So mark your calendars or, well, look back on them, August 19th, 2025. That's the day this thing was released to the public, and it wasn't a quiet launch. It made waves like immediately and totally started to shift the landscape for developers and researchers. So what's under the hood here? What makes this thing tick? Well, it's a really clever design called a mixture of experts, or MOE. The best way to picture it is this. Instead of having one single overworked genius trying to answer every question you throw at it, you have a whole team of specialists on call. A math expert, a language expert, a coding expert, you get the idea. When a problem comes in, the system is smart enough to say, for this we need these two specialists, and only they get to work. And this team of specialist approach allows for some mind-boggling scale. The total size of this model is 685 billion parameters. Just to put that into perspective, you can think of parameters as the individual neurons in the AI's brain. A number that big puts it squarely in the ring with the biggest, baddest proprietary models out there. It's a true heavyweight. But that's not even the coolest part. Right, here's the genius of it all. Because of that MO system, for any one task, it only needs to wake up about 37 billion of those parameters. So it has the raw knowledge of a 685 billion parameter giant, but it operates with the speed and the efficiency of a much, much leaner model. It's like having a whole library's worth of knowledge, but only needing to open the two exact books you need. That's what makes it so incredibly powerful, but also surprisingly cheap to run. Okay, so let's break that down. You give it a prompt, right? Instantly, a little traffic cop, they call it a router, looks at your request and says, okay, out of our 128 available experts, I need you and you. Those two experts get to work, process the info, and boom, you get a super high-quality answer. It's using just a tiny slice of its total brain power, which means you get the results without this massive, expensive computational bill. It's all about working smarter, not just harder. All right, so what's on the spec sheet? What can this thing actually do? Well, first off, it's totally free and open source, which is huge. But it's also got a massive 128,000 token context window, so it can read and remember really long documents. It has some pretty advanced vision capabilities, so it can see and understand images. And its real claim to fame? It's an absolute beast at coding and reasoning. And it's great at showing its work, breaking down its thinking step by step. Okay. That's the tech, but the real question is, how does it measure up in the real world? How does Deepseek V3.1 stack up against the Goliaths of the closed-source world? Let's put it head-to-head with what we'd expect from the next generation of giants, like a hypothetical GPT-5 or Grok 4. And this chart really tells the story. You see, a model like GPT-5, it's trying to be the state-of-the-art, or SOTA generalist, the jack of all trades. Deepseek, on the other hand, isn't trying to be everything to everyone. It's carving out its own territory as a specialist in coding, logic, and STEM. So while other models might boast about their high scores on general knowledge tests, Deepseek's advantage is in its focused power and its ability to give you these clear step-by-step explanations. It's less of a chatbot and more of a precision instrument. Now, this is the point where you might be thinking, okay, cool tech, but why does this matter to me? Well, this is way bigger than just a new tool for coders. When a model this powerful is released for free, that's not just an update. That is a massive disruption with implications for pretty much everyone. And hey, I'm not just being dramatic here. The analysis we're drawing from literally calls this a dramatic shift in the AI landscape. And when you start to look at the ripple effects, you really get why that's not an exaggeration at all. Think about the ripple effect. First, it completely democratizes access. Suddenly, cutting-edge AI isn't just something a few big companies get to play with. This opens the floodgates for a huge wave of innovation from the global community. It also completely undercuts the whole expensive licensing model, which puts a ton of pressure on those closed-source companies. They have to get better, faster, and maybe even cheaper just to keep up. And this chart just lays it all out perfectly. Look at what open source brings to the table. Community contribution? Through the roof. The pace of innovation? Super high. And the cost for developers to actually use this stuff? Super low. You get maximum innovation for minimum cost. You just can't beat that formula for pushing the whole field forward. So where do we go from here? What does all this mean for the future of AI? Well, one thing's for sure. It feels like we're turning the page and starting a whole new chapter in how this technology gets built. If Deepseek V3.1 proves one thing, it's this. You don't need a billion-dollar, secretive corporate lab to build world-class AI anymore. It proves that this open, collaborative, community-driven approach isn't some far-off dream. It's not a what-if, it's happening right now. And that leaves us with one last big question to think about. The next huge breakthrough in AI, where's it going to come from? Is it going to be unveiled in a slick corporate keynote from behind a walled garden? Or is it going to bubble up from a global community of builders working together in the open? Thanks to models like Deepseek, that answer is suddenly very much up for grabs.